Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and hearing nothing. No morning chorus of birds, no rustle of squirrels in the trees, no distant barking of a neighbor's dog. Even the constant low-level hum of insects in the grass has simply stopped. It's a silence so heavy you can feel it in your ears. You walk outside and the air is perfectly still. The world looks the same, but it feels hollow. It's just us now. Every other heart beating on this planet has suddenly gone quiet. In this world, our buildings still stand. Your house is exactly as you left it, your car is in the driveway, and the lights still flick on when you flip the switch. On the surface, the human world appears perfectly intact, but every single other living thing, from the elephant in the savannah to the bacteria in your own gut, is gone. It's the ultimate lonely planet. No pets to greet you, no weeds growing through the sidewalk, and no trees shading the roof. Just billions of humans standing in a graveyard of a world that we thought we owned. For a long time, we've acted like we are the only characters that matter on Earth. We live in climate-controlled boxes, eat food that comes in plastic wrap, and spend our days staring at screens. We've built a wall of concrete and glass between ourselves and the rest of life. We've come to believe that as long as our technology works, we don't really need the wild stuff happening outside our windows. Every time we order a pizza or turn on a heater, that belief gets stronger. Our cities feel like self-sustaining islands. We've created a bubble of comfort that makes it easy to forget that we are biological creatures who need a biological world to stay alive. We think our survival depends on the power grid and the internet, but those are just the shiny tools on the surface. They don't actually create the things we need to breathe, eat, or drink. Underneath every skyscraper and sidewalk is a hidden, vibrant sea of its own. It's a massive, deeply interconnected network of roots, fungi, and microscopic workers that keep the ground stable and the systems running. This is the real foundation. It's an invisible web of life that has been doing the hard work for millions of years, long before the first brick was ever laid. It processes our waste, cleans our water, and builds the soil that holds our world together. When that living network vanishes, the ground beneath our feet loses its structural integrity. The soil that was once held together by billions of tiny roots and fungal threads begins to turn to dust. The very foundation of our civilization starts to fracture. Without those biological nodes to maintain the Earth's balance, the stability we've taken for granted for centuries begins to give way. The perfectly fine infrastructure we built is suddenly resting on a hollow shell. By removing the Earth's background characters, we haven't just lost our companions. We have pulled the plug on our own life support system. We're finally masters of the world, but we're standing on a machine we have no idea how to operate, and the engine has just died. Day one is a scramble. As word spreads that the animals and plants are gone, the panic is instant. People rush to the local supermarket, grabbing every can of beans and box of crackers they can find. Within hours, the shelves are stripped bare. There are no more deliveries coming, no more trucks full of produce or meat. The local grocery store becomes a hollow shell, and the realization sets in that the food currently in our pantries is all we might ever have. Think of the global food chain as a massive delivery company where every single driver has just been fired. The pollinators that grew our fruit are gone. The livestock are gone. The plankton that feeds the fish is gone. The entire system of moving energy from the sun into our bodies has stopped. We are left with a massive, sophisticated distribution network that has absolutely nothing left to distribute. But there's a quieter problem brewing. We've lost the invisible sanitation workers, the vital bacteria and fungi that live in our soil, our drinking water, and even our own bodies. These microbes are the reason the world doesn't smell like a giant trash heap. They are constantly breaking things down, turning waste back into the building blocks of life. Without them, the cycle of renewal is broken. Suddenly, biological waste just stays where it is. It doesn't rot, it doesn't disappear. The mechanical process of decomposition has frozen. Everything from a discarded apple core to the sewage in our pipes becomes a permanent, unchanging problem. In our cities, the trash begins to pile up.
But it isn't rotting. It's just sitting there, mounting higher in every public square. It's a strange, sterile nightmare. The city looks clean from a distance, but the piles of waste are becoming mountains, and there is no natural process left to clear them away. Humanity is caught in a trap. We are starving because the food chain has stopped, while at the same time, we are being buried by our own waste because the cleanup crew has vanished. We have all the technology, but we can't make a single grain of rice or make a single piece of trash disappear without the help of the species we lost. After a few months, the water coming out of our taps begins to change. The massive, complex mechanical systems we use to pull our water from rivers and lakes begin to rapidly fail. We've always relied on nature to do the heavy lifting when it comes to clean water.
Without that help, the very liquid we need to survive becomes our biggest threat. Wetlands and tiny organisms in the water act like a giant natural filter, pulling out toxins and heavy metals. When they disappear, those poisons stay in the water. Lead, mercury, and industrial runoff begin to concentrate in our drinking supply. We can try to boil it or use chemical filters, but we're fighting against a planet-wide wave of pollution that we no longer have the tools to stop. People often ask if we would suffocate right away. The answer is no. Earth's atmosphere is like a giant pressurized tank, filled with enough oxygen to last us for a very long time. We are breathing from a massive reserve that was built up over billions of years. We wouldn't run out of air this year, or even this century, but the tank is no longer being refilled. The real danger is the carbon cycle. Think of plants and plankton as the Earth's lungs. They breathe in what we breathe out. Without them, every time we exhale or run an engine or burn a fire, we are filling the room with smoke and have no way to open a window. The CO2 levels begin to climb. The air gets heavier. The invisible balance that kept our climate stable is gone, and the heat begins to trap itself against the surface. The planet begins to physically transform. Without plants to hold moisture and regulate the temperature, the weather turns violent and unpredictable. Green forests turn into brown, dusty plains. The vibrant blue and green marble we see from space begins to look like a dull, rusted coin. By the end of the first year, the Earth has stopped functioning as a living home. It is becoming a decaying, toxic rock. We aren't just living in a world without animals. We are living on a planet that has lost its ability to heal itself. As we move into the second and third years, the struggle changes. It's no longer just about finding food or clean water. It's about the toll this takes on the human spirit. The physical battle for survival is exhausting, but the mental battle is even harder. The world has become a very small, very lonely place. We are social animals, and not just with each other. We evolved in a world full of life. We are hardwired to need the sound of wind in the leaves and the presence of other creatures. Without wildlife, without pets, without even the sight of a single green leaf, a deep biological loneliness sets in. It's a type of trauma we've never had to face before, being the only witnesses to a dying world. Society begins to buckle. When resources like canned food and bottled water are all that's left, the every person for themselves mentality takes over. The laws and rules that keep us together start to feel meaningless when there is no future to build for. We spend our days fighting over the scraps of a dead civilization. A planet that can't support life eventually stops supporting sanity. The isolation, the constant hunger, and the lack of hope eventually shatter the social order. We realize that we weren't just held together by our governments and our banks. We were held together by the simple fact that the world provided for us. When that stops, everything else stops too. So could we survive? Could a small group of humans build high-tech bunkers and live off the grid forever? It's a tempting thought that our cleverness can save us even after we've destroyed the natural world. We could theoretically live in sealed biospheres, eating nutrient paste made in a lab and breathing recycled air. But that kind of life is incredibly fragile. You're always one power failure or one broken pump away from the end. You're living in a cage of your own making, constantly fighting against a world that wants to be empty.
Look at the difference between how nature works and how our machines work. On one side, you have a simple circle, life feeding life, waste becoming food, everything moving effortlessly for millions of years. On the other side is our attempt to replace it. It's a massive, overcomplicated mess of gears and wires. It's loud, it's expensive, and it's constantly fighting to keep from falling apart. Every mechanical system we build requires constant human energy and resources just to keep it moving. Nature did all that work for free. Without the free labor of the biological world, we have to spend every waking second just trying to maintain the basics. We become slaves to our own survival machines. This thought experiment isn't just about a scary future. It's a reminder of who we are right now. We aren't the independent conquerors of this planet. We are just one part of a very large, very delicate family. We aren't sitting on top of the world. We are woven into it. In the real world, species are disappearing every day. Each one is a thread in our own life support system. We might think we don't need a specific bee or fungus, but we are just snapping threads in a web we are still standing on. When enough threads snap, the whole web shudders. We are feeling those shudders right now. The air you're breathing right now, a plant made that for you. The food you'll eat for dinner, a whole world of insects and microbes helped grow it. We must protect the life around us, not just because it's beautiful, but because our breath, our food, and our very sanity are entirely borrowed from them. We are never truly alone, as long as the planet is alive. Let's make sure it stays that way.